Hi, welcome back. I just ran the configure command. When that was done, I ran the make command that I have shown here. And the final output after I was done running all of that is shown on my screen. Now, if you're having some problems, one of the ones that's most likely to come up for us in a Windows environment is you'll get a lot of errors that say could not delete a.exe permission denied, or could not delete conftest.exe permission denied. If you're getting those errors, what you have is actually a problem with your virus scanner. What's happening is your virus scanner is keeping that file open for just a little while, and the configure script likes to create a lot of executables and then delete them immediately just to see if stuff's working correctly. So when it can't delete them because the antivirus is keeping it open, then it just assumes that something went wrong. Configure scripts are really paranoid like that, and if you tried to build after configuring that way, you'd probably end up with some problems because some things wouldn't get compiled correctly. So the way to deal with that problem is to first make absolutely sure that permissions aren't an issue. You can do that like so. Actually, I'm going to do this in a CMD shell just to be safe. And then /t here means recursive. I'll just go ahead and show you what happens when I run it without the /t. It just processes the one folder. Whereas if you use /t, it'll go through the entire folder recursively and just give you full control over everything. And of course replace Sean with your username. Then what you'll want to do is disable your antivirus software completely. I use AVG. If you use a different antivirus software, this isn't going to work for you. I first tried going in through their GUI, but that wasn't actually enough to do the trick. What I ended up having to do on my system was go to my administrative tools folder, right click on services, run as the administrator user, and you can't see it right now, but I have a UAC prompt. And then I came to these two services, and I didn't actually have the option to stop running these programs. But when I went into properties, I could change the startup type from automatic to disabled. I did that for AVG Watchdog and AVG IDS Agent. So you can see they're both disabled here. And then I went ahead and restarted my computer. With AVG, then the tray icon still runs, but as you can see, the OpenAVG user interface is grayed out. So once I did that, I stopped getting errors compiling everything here, and I was able to successfully build the program. It's actually asking me for a UAC prompt again. I'm just going to click no. So, other than that, typing, when you come back in after disabling your antivirus software, you're going to want to run make clean, and then hit enter, and then when that command's completely done running, then you're going to want to run your configure script again. After that, it should build correctly. Anyway, once you're at this point, I built as an ordinary user. I like doing that because there's no possibility of my creating any files or folders while building that end up in my main system. And this prevents a lot of problems from occurring. Once I'm completely satisfied that everything built correctly, everything's safe, there's no security issues or anything else, then I'll go ahead and log in as an administrator, and I will go ahead and install ncurses. And you do that with the command make install. And this one actually runs pretty quickly. If you ever need to know whether or not a package is going to be a while configuring and building, if you can find that package name in the regular Linux from Scratch book, they have what's called SBUs, which is kind of a generic build time that's independent of your hardware. I found that a good time estimate for compiling MinGW on Windows is to multiply the SBU number that they give you by 5, and that's the number of minutes it'll take to compile. So, for instance, an SBU of 1 would take you 5 minutes to configure and build. And you don't have to babysit these. If you get them running with the configure command. As soon as I'll show you this done, I'll show you how to chain the configure and make commands together. You can do that and then just walk away for about 5 minutes, check back in, make sure there were no problems with your software, do something else. It won't slow things down a whole lot if you just if you're building programs in the background. And this looks like it's about done. It's just setting up my my manuals right now. Since this is taking just a little longer than I had anticipated, I'll go ahead and get started with the next part of the video right now. And ignoring tick, which is part of the ncurses package that I just built, I'm going to go ahead and run the version check script. Alright, we have binutils, bison, bzip2, chown, diff and find, and awk, the GCC compiler. These two we're going to manually edit the version check script itself. The reason is that MinGW puts its C library in a non-standard location. Next we have grep, gzip, MinGW, make. We just compiled tick. Patch, there's nothing you can do. This is actually a Windows UAC problem. Windows likes to generate a UAC prompt whenever you run an executable with certain names. These names can be files that contain words like setup or install. Unfortunately, patch is one of those names. So no matter what I do as far as configuring permissions, no matter what I do as far as privileges, no matter what I do as a user security-wise, the command patch will always generate a UAC prompt. And when patch is called from an environment like the shell, where I can't generate a UAC prompt, it'll simply return with a bad file number error. This means that when you are building cross-Linux from scratch, anytime you run the patch utility, unfortunately, you have to run it in one of these administrator shells. You can't run it as an ordinary user. Aside from that, we have sed, tar, and makeinfo. So really, once tick is done compiling and installing, we'll be done. I'm going to go ahead and edit out the version check.sh script using my favorite editor. A lot of people like to edit scripts in Notepad++. One of the difficult things that I found in Windows is creating files that start with a period. If you ever have problems doing that, one way to do it is to come into a shell and use the command touch. What touch does is it will create an empty file. If you run touch on an existing file, it'll leave the file alone, but it'll update the timestamp to now. You could then go in and open that dot file in another editor. Now we'll go ahead and run my favorite editor on the version check.sh. And add the word MinGW here. And I'll go ahead and let that run. If a there we are. I don't have a lib64 directory, but that's okay. I don't need one. And it's successfully installed tick by this point. Okay, our environment is completely ready to build cross Linux from scratch. Thanks for watching this tutorial, and good luck to you.